You are listening to the Bell Ringers podcast on Philly Sports Reports, brought to you by SeatGeek. Here are your hosts, Colin Daly and Benjamin Goldstein.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bell Ringers podcast. Colin Daly here alongside Benjamin Goldstein. And I don't know about you, Ben, but I myself am a little bit confused with the Phillies' recent moves. Signing Max Kepler, picking up Joe Ross just a few hours ago, and then trading for Jesus Luzardo yesterday. Dave Dombrowski just a few days ago made it pretty clear that the Phillies were kind of like in their gap year for the kids who take a gap year between high school and college. But for the Phillies, this is the gap year between their declining postseason success from 2022 to 2024 to hopefully bigger and better things to come in future years. Now, though, that doesn't really seem to be the case. They pick up Max Kepler and take over in left field, which seemed like a utility type move. And they go out and trade for Jesus Luzardo. Do we have any thoughts on that, Ben? Because I'm not sure I
Yeah, I'm
follow the
uh
motive
I'm,
here.
I'm getting mixed signals from Dave Dombrowski. Goes out, says this team is going to be reshaped. There's going to be some different faces around here, and seems like this team is staying majorly the same, other than the left field position, and some bullpen arms getting going and getting replaced. So kind of awkward. We'll dive into it more, but
Hmm.
I think awkward is the right word to use. Like the moves are cool. Like I like the Jesus
Right.
Luzardo trade, which we'll
Yeah,
get
same
into.
here.
I don't know how I feel about the other few, but we'll get into it.
Right. Let's hang tight on Luzardo for now, beyond just what's on paper, right? Because on paper, it makes a lot of sense. We got him at kind of a low price. He was hurt for most of 2024, so his career stat line tarnished by that a little bit. But I know I pointed out in my article yesterday. I'll have to pull up the number um, right now, but 2022 to 2023, he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. And he also had a bunch of success against the Phillies at Citizens Bank Park. So you would hope that some of that translates to his time now as a Philly. But I think he had a 3.48 ERA with over 300 strikeouts in 2022 and 2023. And that shows you the signs of a really, really good pitcher. And right now, I don't want to get too much into the depth right now, but of the Phillies roster, but I think we can agree that he is going to be in a spot where on other teams, he would probably be 3 or 4 spots higher in the rotation. Um, but
Yeah,
again, we'll hold off on a bunch of the Luzardo stuff for now. Get into that toward the
yeah.
end.
I mean Luzardo. Let's just stick to it since we're on the topic. I mean,
Sure, why not?
22 to 23, 3.48 ERA, and 279 innings. Looking for his WHIP was 1.15. His 14-7, a 6.1 WAR. Like he was a great pitcher. Pitched very well in that wild card game at Citizens Bank Park. The Phillies
Yeah.
eventually got to him and the Marlins bullpen. But I mean, not a bad price. What's the dude? Kava.
Yeah,
He
Starlin Caba.
Yeah, Starling Cava is a name that I know, and I don't know I don't know all the prospects that Colin does, but he's a name that I know, so that could be someone to watch out for. Never heard of the other guy that was involved in the trade. Like I like this Jesus Luzardo trade. I like the player, but is it a carbon copy of Ranger Suarez with more velocity?
No, I don't think so. I think that Ranger Suarez and Jesus Luzardo rely on a lot of different pitches to get guys out. With Ranger Suarez, you'll see a real mixed bag with the curveball, with the changeup. We've seen that he is able to have that changeup just drop right off the shelf, which is really, really impressive. This is Suarez, I mean. Um, but Jesus Luzardo has that like harder changeup. It has a lot more sink on it, where Suarez's kind of tails off like a more typical changeup. So I think that's one big thing that differentiates the two. Um, I think Luzardo, yeah, and like you said, the point about his velocity being higher, I think will give him a little bit more success if he reaches the full potential that we saw in 2022 and 2023. He also uses that slider a lot more than you'll see from Ranger Suarez. Savant says that he's using it 29% of the time behind his fastball, which between his four seamer and his sinker, he's using close to half of the time. He uses that four seamer 39% of the time, the sinker 8% of the time. And then really just the slider and the changeup are the other two pitches that he mixes in there. So he doesn't have that wide array of pitches like Ranger Suarez, but he's very, very good at locating them effectively. He keeps his changeup down. Sometimes you see Ranger Suarez, that changeup, he gets his release point too high and it kind of hovers, especially on righties. It kills against the righties. When that changeup hovers too far over the plate, gets inside on them, they turn on that and just drive it to their pull side. And you don't see that as much with Luzardo. And again, I'm not criticizing Ranger Suarez because we know he's a very good pitcher. And because he has so many tools, he can work around those like, quips and qualms in his with his stuff and get guys out regardless. With Luzardo, I think he has a little bit different of an approach.
This to me kind of feels like there could be shopping Ranger either in the offseason or by the deadline. Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
get into Andrew Painter, but like they
Let's
said
talk
he's
about
gonna
can we
be
talk
ready.
about it now?
He's gonna
Just
be
screw the
ready in
plans and
July.
go there
All
now.
right, go ahead. Like this to
Because
me screams like a Ranger move is coming because it's another left. Like there are now 3 left-handers in this starting rotation. Christopher Sanchez, who just got a big extension, Ranger Suarez, who was a free agent after the 2025, and Jesus Luzardo is tiers of control now.
right, and it's funny. I'm glad you asked that question because that leads us right into the topic that we're going to put at the end of the podcast. But you know what? Screw it. Let's move it up. Happy holidays. We're talking about it early. Yeah, I think Ranger goes, and I I think I've made it pretty adamant that I think that Alec Boehm needs to be traded before he should not be on the opening day roster. Right? I've said it so many times on numerous episodes. Alec Boehm is the guy that has hit, what is it, 217, 220, somewhere around there in his postseason career. The Phillies have gone from the World Series to the National League Championship Series to the National League Division Series. The front office and the coaching staff needs to show that if you do not perform when it matters, I don't care if you're the starting third baseman for the All-Star team, like Boehm was in 2024, you've got to go. And that is the approach that they can send if they trade Boehm. So they could throw Boehm and Suarez into a package and get a very, very nice return for a third baseman. I don't know if they're going to be shopping the Bregmans and the Arenados of the world, but they could get a nice return. It doesn't even have to be a third baseman because they can shift that infield around if they really have to. Because we could probably see Stott at third. I know they like him at second, but I think if you get a bat, if you can get a bat in a trade that would have you giving up Alec Boehm and Ranger Suarez, 2 All-Stars last year, I think that is a defensive sacrifice you can make for what should be if they get good trade for the return, or if they get good value for the return in that trade. A very, very decent, very good sacrifice that they should make.
What third baseman could they get? Like Bregman's a free agent. Arenado declined the trade to the Astros. He feels like Dodgers or Yankees are bust. Like,
I think the Phillies are up there.
like, do you? I know you're a part Cardinals fan, but do you really want Nolan Arenado as a Philly? Like the guy is. It feels like he's on that decline slope.
Yeah.
Like
No, you're right.
his defense will never be what it was. His hitting is declining as well. Like he's getting up there in age. Like the Phillies are all getting up there in age. That's how life works. But like I don't know, like you see the deal Adames went for. Bregman's gonna want to beat that with Scott Boras. Like,
Yeah. No, that's true. Um, yeah,
unless
you're
Bryce
right.
wants to run
There's
third
not
base,
like
that's
a
it.
huge, I mean, like Gunnar Henderson's not going to leave from Baltimore. Trying to think of the other guys. Devers is on a huge contract, so it won't be. Oh, my AirPod fell out. Same with Machado. Who else is a third baseman? Trying to run through the divisions in my head here. Um,
Like, there's no one the Phillies could acquire at third base. Like
what's
it
Jose
was.
Ramirez's contract?
I don't know. I don't think that would happen.
I don't either. Huh? Oh, he got well. He got an extension in 2022 that goes until 2028. He's not overly expensive. $19,000 he earns in 2025. So they'd have him under control for 4 years.
Would Cleveland do that for
No.
Ranger
Well,
and
I don't
Bohm?
know. Cleveland might benefit from the pitching because they've
No.
got some young guys in their farm system that are bad. They've got some young bats in the farm system. Again, I'm just shooting crap here. I don't really know.
Yeah, you're shooting some real crap, Colin.
Yeah, I know I am.
Like
I really am.
it's Arenado or Bohm, or it's Arenado or it's Bregman, and you're gonna have to pay for Bregman, and
Which that's never
you're gonna
happening.
have to trade Bohm and or Ranger for a pitcher, like like. But like the Phillies aren't shopping Alec Bohm, as they've said, which who knows if that's true. But they're claiming they're not shopping Alec Bohm, so it's time to
Well,
accept that Alec Bohm's going to be the starting third baseman for the Phillies in 2025.
well, I don't know about that. They can. I mean, I make impulse purchases all the time. That's my specialty.
Was that flannel jacket you got on an impulse purchase, man?
This was an outlets purchase a
Okay.
long time ago. It does not fit, but I actually recently got a new one.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is the old one. If I'm wearing a sweatshirt, I wear the new one because it's the next size up. If I'm only
Yeah.
wearing a t-shirt, I wear the smaller one. So
Yeah.
it's not as loose.
Yeah, and it looks like you got multiple of you can change it up the outfit a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. You're thinking
People aren't
now.
like, oh, that kid wears the same thing every day.
No, I'm like overly self-conscious about that. I'm like I really like it'll be like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, when did I wear this last? I don't know.
Yeah, I grab whatever's on top at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm trying to move.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been days where that happens too. I can't lie. I'm not always this organized and thoughtful. I try, but not always.
Yeah. All right. Luzardo, good pitcher, but the Phillies have signed now three guys who are either coming off an injured year or a bad year. Are they just praying
Right.
for a bounce back with Kepler, Luzardo, and Romano?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm not opposed to it. I mean, they got Romano for what I think was a great deal. I mean, if the Luzardo deal, I'm kind of, it is what it is. Again, first of all, Luzardo is a great pitcher. I think Starlin Caba is a very good player as well. Marion Boyd is meh. He's a utility guy. He was on the high A Blue Claws last year, 250 batting average, 650 OPS. Did not jump out at me. Kaba definitely has a lot higher of a ceiling, but he also struggled more in 2024 when he was with the Threshers. He bounced actually, he's young, he's 19. He bounced back and forth between the FCL Phillies and the Threshers last season. Now I don't even know what the single A team is for the Marlins. It's not the Jumbo Shrimp. So I want to
It's
be on the Jumbo Shrimp team.
the um the Jupiter Hammerheads.
Ah, that sounds right.
I've been to one of their games.
Really?
I have. They had one concession stand open in the entire stadium.
Oh yeah, I could never.
Yeah, it was poor.
I eat like a pig at those games.
Yeah, it was bad. It was a
When
bad
there's
game.
no
It was like
when the
1-0 in
baseball
extras.
See, when the baseball's not quality, the food better be quality.
The food was not quality.
Ah,
The game
yeah,
was
no.
not quality either. But their logo's
0 out
cool.
of 5 stars. You ever review something online?
The Big Doom.
No, I meant more of you leave a star review on something.
No.
Not my thing. Not at all.
People don't. What do I like? People don't need to know my opinion. Unless I
I'll
feel
tell
very
you.
strongly about something, or if I
If
can
you
enter to win something, I'll give a review.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
sure.
fair. If you're ever looking for entertainment, read the reviews on the Crumble Cookie website.
Crumble cookie. People not
The
like crumble.
reviews. No, it's like disturbingly people really like Crumble.
Oh, the glaze is insane.
Yeah,
All right.
it's crazy. Um, anyway, while we're talking about glaze, I have no I'm not going to glaze these Phillies prospects that we gave to the Marlins. Again, Cabo was ranked fourth in the Phillies system. I'm taking Luzardo though. He is a nasty pitcher. He really is, and that slider is so gross. The changeup is he does remind me of Nola in the sense where when Luzardo has that changeup working for him, it's kind of even though it's not his best pitch, it's the thing that separates him between good and great because it's like it's a very effective get me over pitch for him. Same with that sinker. So I'll be curious to see how the whole rotation pans out. Which again, I know we're jumping around our order here, but so you got
So
Wheeler and then you got
yeah,
Nola, and then you
I
got the
think
jumble of people at the end here.
yeah, I think they would have a gap between Wheeler and Nola because they have all these lefties. You might as well change it up a
True.
little bit. So
Yeah.
Wheeler, Luzardo, or
Sanchez.
Ranger, or yeah,
Wow. Okay.
I don't know. I like Christopher at the back end as kind of a secret weapon.
I might do Luzardo because with Sanchez and Suarez, I'm worried about innings. So I guess with Luzardo only throwing 60 some, well, you have to be worried with inning. See, that's what I'm curious about. Do you think there's ever a chance that they phantom IL one of them for a good portion of the season just because they're worried about innings for a lot of these guys? Because Sanchez, we saw, kind of got drained. Suarez, I don't even know what's wrong with him. He just needed like a hard reset after. It was unsaid. It was that game that we were at where he got hit in the ankle against the Cardinals that ruined him.
Or it was his hand.
Was it the? It wasn't the hand. You're
Yeah,
right.
it was his pitching
Yep.
hand.
And
That was
then
that was the end of it for him. That was the
yeah,
end
it
of that
was
great year.
right. And then you've got Luzardo, who also didn't pitch a lot last year, so he's probably not going to throw a full 200 innings. So yeah, I don't know. It does make me wonder what they'll do with him.
Will
And then
Ranger
again,
be?
even
Will Ranger even be in the starting rotation next year? Like, you're gonna have Painter in there. They want him in there in July. Here's the Andrew Painter news. This came out Monday. Andrew Painter will throw in spring training, but will not pitch in games. Dave Dombrowski said he was always going to be on an innings limit coming off Tommy John, and this will push them back to a more meaningful time. Could potentially help big league club in second half if it goes well. So that's like the July timeline, which we're gathering. With Andrew Painter. So, you get Painter in July. Don't forget, Taiwan Walker is still on this roster.
let's talk about that because they say that they're starting him.
Six
And if
man
I see
rotation.
that man step on a mound and it doesn't go well, we are never going to hear the end of it
So we have a
because
six
you
man
have given
rotation.
him countless opportunities and a six-man rotation. While I'm not opposed to it, if you have in the organization, I don't care if it is the guy you pick up off the streets, you can just nab him from like Fifth and Broadway. I don't care who it is. But if you can find six people who are better than Walker, he better get kicked to the curb. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter where you find him because you
So
cannot have Walker in that rotation. I will if it's a six-man rotation and he is one of the top six, I'm okay with that, even if he's not great. But if you can find guys that are better than him for the number of people that you have in that rotation, he shouldn't be in there.
Wheeler, Sanchez,
Mm-hmm.
Nola,
I'm making my list now.
Ranger, Walker, Luzardo.
And then when Painter comes in, does Ranger go to the bullpen or I guess whoever's struggling the most?
You get Taiwan Walker off the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, right, but I don't think they're going to stick with a six-man, do you?
No, you either make a Ranger move to the bullpen or you make a
Or
Ranger
Ranger move at the
trade.
deadline. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It also depends on who is pitching. Like Ranger could go out there and pitch how he did from April to May in 2024 again.
What if they're all doing well?
Then you're
I
in a
mean, that's
sticky
great,
situation.
but
I mean, you don't have to have Andrew Painter as a Philly in 2025.
yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Unless you call him up, have him in the bullpen, and then you have him in the postseason.
No, I wouldn't. I think he's the type of prospect that you need to give him his role. Like starting pitching is his role, and you can't mess with that. Like he needs to get like the type of he needs to get. I don't want to call the correct attention, but in a sense, he gets the special treatment.
Yeah.
Like you can't have any excuses for why he did not perform up to snuff the way he was expected to. 'Cause, I mean, this guy, I mean, he is, I would say, the best pitching prospect in baseball right now. So he needs to come to fruition.
Also in Phillies pitching news, Phillies signed Joe Ross Monday. In 2024, he had 3.77 ERA in 25 games, 74 innings, a WHIP of 1.365. He's coming from Milwaukee. He's a mop-up guy. 1 year, $4 million. It's a move. It'll probably be in the opening day roster. Like you won't see him very
sure.
often,
Yeah.
but like if a pitcher gets hurt, you'll see Joe Ross in the starting rotation. If a pitcher has a bad start, you'll see Joe Ross out there. Like he'll be a swing guy. He'll be a mop up for the Phils, I think.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen like a quality mop-up man in a few years. We had Nick Nelson for a while. He wasn't great, and then Turnbull was out there before he got hurt, which is the closest thing they've had to that. But I think it's good. Of course, Turnbull came from the rotation, and if it weren't for injury purposes and Taiwan Walker garbage contract purposes, he'd still be in that rotation. But I think it's an important role to fill, even if it may not seem that way, because then what happens is you end up putting guys who could throw meaningful innings in those fourth and fifth and sixth innings on the bad days, and then when you need them on the good days, they're unavailable because they pitched those prior innings. So I think it's good to have someone for that role who you can at least semi-trust.
Joe Ross was a starter for the Nationals from 2015 excuse me, to 2017 or 2018. Only had three games in 2018. 2019 got moved to the bullpen. He opted out of the 2020 season. He did not play the COVID year. Baseball References opted out during COVID-19 pandemic. Good for him.
Yeah, he wasn't working.
Dude doesn't want to get sick, man.
He was a non-essential worker.
2021, he started 19 of his 20 games, so went back to starting rotation in 21 for the Nationals. Did not play in 2022. It's just a blank. I don't know what happened. Let's see. Oh, it doesn't say anything. And then last year was a bullpen guy for the Brewers. So,
yeah, I know he battled injury when he came back from COVID a little bit. So it probably had something to do with that. But yeah, I'm curious to see what they'll do with him. All right, so Ben, we're going to discuss momentarily if the Phillies are done making moves this offseason. But first, it's time. It's game time.
Oh,
Are you ready?
But first, before we do Pepper, which we haven't done it forever, we need to thank our friends over at SeatGeek.
Of course.
SeatGeek, it is the holiday season. This episode's going up on Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. We hope you all have a great New Year. Thank you for another great year of the Bell Ringers podcast. We appreciate it. We'll be back in 2025. Hopefully, we'll be at a parade together, maybe in 2025.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Hopefully. So we thank all of you for that. Only bigger and better things, and enjoy the holiday season. If you need last second presents, there are always tickets available for every event on SeatGeek. Concerts, comedy, sports, everything you could imagine is on SeatGeek. And at checkout, use code Phillies Sports Report. Save $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Again, that's Phillies Sports Report. $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. What are we doing, Colin?
Hold the S. Hold the S. Get that S. Shove it under your the little train that some people have going around their Christmas tree? Yeah. Just put it on the train and let it ride off into the sunset. We don't need that S anymore. I'm sorry. You got me. You gave me an idea with the whole last minute Christmas gift on the SeatGeek. I might have to get on that.
Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the episode and the podcast. All right, let's do some Pepper.
All right. So today we're mixed. I'm giving you a holiday gift. Are you ready? Ooh. Are you ready? You should be really excited.
I'm very ready.
I'm glad. It's multiple choice Pepper.
Oh.
Okay. It's mainly because some of these questions are like ranges of like specific years or like how many years. So it's not something I would expect you to know.
I'm not a great test taker. So this will be interesting.
You know what? We're gonna have fun with it.
I'm not big on the standardized testing. All right, let's go.
That's okay. All right, number 1. Which player is remembered for coining the phrase, "You gotta believe"? A, Tug McGraw.
No.
B, Lenny Dykstra.
No.
C, Chase Utley.
No.
D, Greg Luzinski.
Tug McGraw. I was thinking Yogi Berra. Then I remembered this is Phillies.
Phillies trivia.
Not
We are not the Yankee yodelers. We are the bell ringers. That was a good one, the Yankee yodelers. All right. Who caught Terry Mulholland's no-hitter on August 15th, 1990? A. Ozzie Virgil Jr. B. Mike Lieberthal. C. Bo Diaz. Or D. Darren Dalton.
I don't. If it's a trick question, it's D for Dutch. But I don't feel like you'd be. I don't like. You're not doing
I'm
this.
not that sophisticated. Come on now.
Yeah. Give me what was C?
Bo Diaz.
Give me Bo Diaz because Mike Lieberthal was 2000s, late 90s, and
Mhm.
I've never heard of the first guy. I've never heard of the C either. But
Who holds the major league record for most stolen bases in a single season without being caught? A. Bobby Abreu. B. Ben Revere. C. Chase Utley. Or D. Juan Samuel.
Juan Samuel.
In 1979, who did the Phillies make the highest paid player in baseball? Greg Lazinski, Mike Schmidt, Pete Rose, or Steve Carlton?
Pete Rose.
All right, let's chat. How many of the four do you think you got correct?
Like 2.
Correct.
I got 50%. All right. That's not good.
That's all right. All right, you got the first one right. You got to believe was in fact Tug
Yeah,
McGraw,
Tugger. Yeah. Because that was like the 80s thing was
the 80s
the
World
guy that was,
Series,
yeah.
Royals, final outs, good stuff. The second question was not Bo Diaz. You were there. It was Dutch.
Oh. So it was a
It was
trick
a
question.
no, it wasn't a trick question. D. Darren Dalton was actually not meant. I didn't make the order. I didn't like these aren't
Well,
my multiple choice
I didn't
questions.
think about the triple D. I was just thinking like obviously it's Darren Dalton. You wouldn't give me this question if it was Darren Dalton.
Nah, I was nice. It was Darren Dalton.
Oh man.
Yeah. Well, the second one too. I think you also got fooled for the trick question. The third one, most stolen bases without being caught was in fact Chase Utley.
Oh, it wasn't Juan Samuel?
It was not.
Oh, when did Utley do it?
Ooh, I don't know. I might have to go back and report back to you later.
Okay.
Um, but you did get Pete Rose right. He was the
Yeah.
highest paid player in baseball in 1979.
Yeah, because that's when they brought him on in 80 and then they won the World Series with him. My mind first was like Greg Luzinski got a big deal, I remember, with the Phillies in like the late 70s, 80s. But going into the 79 season, Pete Rose became a Philly. Charlie Hustle got that team to the promised land. Rest in peace, Pete Rose and Ricky Henderson. Two
I'm
legends.
looking up your Utley fact.
Okay. I am very interested.
2009,
Okay, that makes sense.
23 bases without getting caught.
I feel like Trey Turner was very close to that number.
He was, yes. Well, he surpassed it, but at the time, it was Utley. Should we figure out what Juan Samuel's max?
It's got to be close. That dude could run.
He might be too old for Google.
He's not even existent. All right, we'll report back. We
We do.
another number 26 to talk about. Which this was bizarre. When Max Kepler was announced he'd be wearing number 26 with the Phillies, I was livid. But he got changed to number 17. But that also hurts because Reese was 17, and now
That's true.
Max Kepler is number 17. But Max Kepler is a Philly. He's going to play left field for the first time in his major league career. Your outfield is Max Kepler in left, Marsh and Rojas Platoon in center, and Castellanos in right. Hooray! It's not a very exciting outfield where the
Yeah,
biggest
I
thing
do.
that
I
the
do
Phillies
not
needed to
care at
fix.
all. I don't care. He just like I don't know. I swear, Max Kepler is as mid as it gets. He is just like if there was the definition in the dictionary for teenage slang and under mid, you would see a picture of his face and his very mediocre stat line. In 2024,
Yeah, he's coming off a year.
nah, yeah, high average, not a lot of power. He
Uh,
managed,
and
let's see, 8 home runs. Now, the year before was one of his better seasons, that 23 and 2019, 850 or 816 and 855 OPS respectively. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I really don't have any opinions on this. I just think it's
like
kind of garbage.
this is the best the Phillies could do in left field is Max Kepler. 1 year, 10 mil. Like,
I mean, he's got a career 747 OPS, so he's not trash. He's a solid number 8 hitter.
but like the
But
Phillies need the Phillies like this doesn't help the problem that they don't have a guy that can drive in runs when they need him.
right. And I
Like,
feel like a philosophy that we're sometimes overlooking a little bit is it's kind of been this thing where it's like we can just put him at the bottom of the order. It doesn't make a difference, right? Because I know, like, I talked to some people who will say that stot, like, oh, his offense doesn't matter. We'll just put him at the bottom of the order and it'll all be peachy, right? Now we're gonna say, okay, fine, we'll put Kepler eighth, but at least he fills the hole. You can't keep putting people at the bottom of the order and just saying it'll all be all right? You really should only have maximum one of those guys on your team in your starting lineup every day. And I don't think you want Max Kepler to be that guy.
yeah, I mean, this lineup is going to be Schwarber, Trey, Bryce Harper, Castellanos, Bohm, JT, Stott, Kepler, and Marsh/Rojas.
See, no, that's bad. That bottom three can't happen.
Yeah.
That's
Like
just not
the
gonna
Phillies
fly.
will be relying on a very heavy top of that lineup. They will be
Right,
relying on their stars this year. And, they've relied on their stars in the postseason the past 3 seasons in the end, and it doesn't work.
right. And with the lineup that you just said, right now, 1 out of every 3 innings is the 3 up, 3 down frame, right? That's just not gonna. You can't play. No, you can't play 6 innings of baseball. You're not gonna
And
win.
and the Phillies want to give JT less time at catcher, so you're going to see more Garrett Stubbs / Rafael Marchand, which I'm fine with Marchand, but Stubbs is the worst.
Now you're at four
Garrett
and
Stubbs got
five.
married recently.
Oh.
Congratulations, Mazel Tov, Garrett Stubbs.
Yes, yeah, good for him.
But
He needs to get married. His bat needs to get married to a baseball. He needs some contact. But I'm not complaining. Well, I guess I am.
yeah,
But
Max Kepler finished 20th in MVP voting in 2019.
what? No, he didn't. You're lying. You're making that up.
He sure did. He had a 4 WAR,
He hit
played
250.
in
That's ridiculous.
134 games, scored 98 runs, had 132 hits, 32 doubles, 36 home runs, and 90 RBIs. His slash line was 252, 336, 519 with an 855 OPS, 123 OPS plus.
He does walk a lot. I'll give him that. He's got a good eye. He's earned that praise. That's about it. No, I haven't. Okay, so we've been complaining about Kepler, and I've been complaining about Garrett Stubbs' marriage, which is all well and good. But are they done yet? That's the real question today.
Well, I mean, Dombrowski said they were done making impact moves, and they
Yeah,
they traded for
Merry
Jesus
Christmas.
Luzardo, which feels like an impact move. But like they made one real impact move yet? Like, no. Like, if Max Kepler
Well, not one that
is
we need.
the Max Kepler is the biggest acquisition of the Phillies 2024 offseason, which was supposed to be kind
Not
of like
Luzardo.
free agent acquisition. Like, Lugardo wasn't necessary, but they did it. Luzardo. Not necessary, but they did it.
I mean,
Kepler,
no, you could argue.
The left field position very needed,
True.
and the best they did was a $10 million 1 year deal with Max Kepler.
Right. No, yeah, and that is problematic. I don't disagree. I mean, and again, like I'm supportive of what they've done so far. I like Romano. I really like Luzardo. I'm not really sure how the whole rotation situation is going to work, but that's a March problem. It's better to have more than none or more than less. But yeah, I do see the problem in left field right now because A, Kepler doesn't know how to play it. Sure, he'll figure it out. It can't be that hard.
No,
But
he's a lefty fielder too, so it's cool.
oh yeah, he'll just
You should
tone,
always
drop
have a
step,
left.
and move
You should
on with
always
his
have a
life.
left-handed fielder in left field. We saw with Jay Bruce was a great fielder in 2019.
He is a natural. Max Kepler, we'll get along great, I'm sure. Um, he can't be as long as it doesn't stoop down to Austin Hayes, Johan Rojas level. I mean, true. The other thing I got to think about here is the bar is low. It is on the floor. So
This is another like. This feels like an Austin Hayes move where you're getting
Whit
a mediocre
Merrifield,
guy. Yeah, you're getting a mediocre guy and putting him up in like a position where he should succeed, and you hope he succeeds. And he
that's
probably
kind
will.
of all their moves, right? All these guys were just hurt before. That's why they're getting them for cheap. Kepler was hurt last year. Romano was hurt. Luzardo was hurt. They were all hurt. So yeah, I don't know.
But are they done? Well, they're not getting Hoffman or Estevez, it looks like, because they signed two bullpen guys, and Hoffman's going to get a starting pitcher type deal, and the Phillies have seven
Seven.
starting pitchers on their roster. And
Eight if you include Joe Ross, because he's done more starting than relieving in his
yeah,
career. So
and then Estevez looks like he's getting pushed hard from other teams, not called the Phillies, but
and I'm sure he wants a team that's going to have him committed as the closer,
yeah. So
not just the top of the order guy.
your back end of your Phillies bullpen is Matt Strom, Orion Kirkering, Jordan Romano, and Jose Alvarado.
Which isn't really that bad, in my opinion.
And maybe Ranger Suarez at some point this season.
True. And he would be filthy back there, I think.
Yeah, he was back in 21. He was really good as a Phillies.
19. He was really gross.
Yeah.
So you remember back that far.
Yeah, I mean, but everything else in the bullpen is not good.
No, and I don't think they're done. We all know
Well,
what I think is going to happen. They're going to get rid of Bohm, but they're not done.
all right. Well, when they make a move, we'll talk to you.
Yeah, we will. We got anything else?
I don't know. It's kind of a boring off season for the Phillies. Like they're making boring moves.
Is. And it seems like they're making all their moves early, so it's going to be even more boring from now until February.
Unless they're cooking something big. Like this Luzardo trade feels like something's happening.
You're right. I agree.
I don't know.
Because elsewise, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I just like who could they really be trading? Like I don't know. Like they've already committed to Kepler being their starting left fielder, so the outfield's set unless they move Castellanos.
Right, and they haven't even addressed the rotation, right? They've
No,
addressed
they did.
everything else. When was that?
Or Dombrowski said like their rotation is set. Like this is what it is.
Well, what does that mean? With 7 guys? I don't think so.
Well, they have
No Painter, of course, but
yeah. Well, I mean,
with 6
they'll
guys?
test Tylon Walker. They'll, like Luzardo's going to be in the starting rotation. Like this is what the Phillies got. Like it's the same. It's going to be the same team. Like with an extra rotation guy and hopefully more production from your outfield. And you're relying on your stars again.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for them to have some options in the outfield too, because last year they were pretty pigeonholed because it was for a lot of time it was you only had Marsh. I mean pre-Hayes, but he wasn't really anything anyway. Pre-Hayes, you only had Marsh and Rojas as your options. Legitimate major league options, not like the Weston Wilsons and the Cody Clemens. So I think it's good that this year they're going to have the ability to ride the hot hand, whether that be, I mean, we've seen that Brandon Marsh the last 2 seasons is very, very good. in April and May. So hopefully they can ride that hot streak. Maybe give Johan Rojas some extra time to get acclimated with the season. Maybe he can go down to AAA, learn how to bunt, which would just be phenomenal. But I don't think that's going to happen with their lack of outfield depth right now.
Well, I mean, Weston Wilson's outfield. Cody Clemens is an outfielder. Like you just mentioned, those guys aren't. I mean, Weston Wilson hit for the cycle in the major leagues, and Cody
True.
Clemens seems to always come through when they need him. But there's.
I don't want them as a starting platoon guy though.
Now, what do you think about Pete Alonso to the Phillies and put Bryce back in right field? You trade Castellanos.
I think this is when the episode should end because that's ridiculous.
It's crazy. His market is non-existent.
I don't know. He can go to the North Pole. That's where he belongs. The polar bear.
South
Pole. I don't know the difference.
North Pole is Santa. South Pole is Antarctica.
See, you don't even celebrate Christmas, and you know that. That's embarrassing.
You don't know.
Maybe I'll work on my.
You should know what goes on in the North Pole.
The elves.
There you go. There might be polar bears up there.
I will say
we know there's a big whale. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
I hate that movie so much.
You don't like Elf?
I can't stand that guy. He is so annoying. I just want to shut him up all the time. Stop using your mouth.
What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Home Alone 2.
That's the correct answer.
2? Really? Specifically 2?
I prefer the New York setting.
Me too. I agree.
There's more going on. It's cool. The pigeon lady's kind of freaky.
I love the pigeon lady. Don't
pigeon lady's kind of
pigeon
freaky.
lady. I am the pigeon lady in real life. I don't want to hear that. That was. Oh my god. That's how we're gonna end 2025.
We thank you all for watching and listening. Colin's gonna go hang out with some pigeons. Thank you to SeatGeek. Like and subscribe. Goodbye. This has been the Bell Ringers podcast on Philly Sports Reports, brought to you by SeatGeek. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Philly Sports Reports wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Follow the podcast on X and PSR on all social media. Also, consider leaving a review. Catch Colin and Benjamin's writing on phillysportsreports.com, along with following both on X. Thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring the show.